All right, so we're coming up on the All-Star weekend for the NBA coming up, and we're at the midway point. There's NBA trade deadlines that's coming up. Who's going to make what? Will LeBron James get his coveted bench playmaker that he's so desperately looking for? We'll just have to see about that. Serge Ibaka just got traded from the Orlando Magic to the Toronto Raptors. I said earlier in the podcast when I first started, when I went off about Harrison Barnes, and to my surprise, Harrison Barnes has been doing very well for my Dallas Mavericks, but I ended that segment back in the day saying that Orlando's tanking. It's very obvious. They gave up all their players to get Serge Ibaka, who was on a one-year deal, just to trade him away to get a first-round draft pick this upcoming offseason. So, I mean, we'll see what they do. Dallas Mavericks, they keep winning games. They're ticking me off a little bit with that. I wish they would stop winning games. For what? You're not going to do anything. Stop. Just compete for the number one draft pick like the Philadelphia 76ers have been doing for the last decade or so before they finally got Joel Embiid. And before Ben Simmons is even healthy enough to play. They could be a fun team to watch in the next year or so. But at the end of last week's game, at the end of last week's OKC Golden State game out in Oklahoma City, I believe the Chesapeake Energy Arena is where they play at in OKC. I did a post-game video just basically just calling out the OKC fans. Look, and here's the thing. Here's the thing that I need people to understand. It's okay. If Kevin Durant left you, it's okay. Be mad. Be upset. That is your right. Okay? And I tried to try to look at this from both sides and say to myself, okay, if I was in this situation, how would I react? I mean, first of all, I'm not going to overreact as far as, trying to figure out how I'm going to raise my children now that our superstar athlete is gone. That's just ridiculous. But the best comparison that I could come up with is Bryce Harper. So I'm a Washington Nationals fan. I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. area, born and raised there for about 17, 18 years in the DMV area, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. Maryland, specifically Prince George's County, Maryland. And I'm not saying this because Kevin Durant is also from the DMV area. I believe Seat Pleasant. I'm from Suitland, Maryland, not too far from D.C., but I'm not saying it because of that. I tried to what's the best comparison that I could come up with as far as if a superstar player left, how would I react? The one guy I could think of is Bryce Harper, Washington Nationals, right? Now, he is arguably the top 2 or 3, maybe the best baseball player in Major League Baseball, in the big leagues. And if he was to leave to go to our division rivals or maybe to the San Francisco Giants or Yankees, like he's mentioned that he's always been a big Yankees fan growing up as a kid, I'd be upset. I'd be like, well, that sucks. But, he's an adult. He can make his own decisions, and it's sports. That's just how it works. Quite honestly, whenever any of my favorite teams trade for somebody or if they sign somebody, I always look at their contract to be like, okay, how long do we have them for before I can just begin to separate myself, kind of like compartmentalize a little bit, just separate myself, because eventually they could go on. And it's better to be prepared like that and look at it as a business. Kevin Durant leaves and OKC goes now. If Bryce Harper left to go to some team that I hated, I'm not going to go to his house and put a for sale sign with the words coward on it. Like what's his name? Big Rich? His nickname is Big Rich. Owns the Pink Parrot Bar out in Oklahoma City Thunder. And you shouldn't be calling him out. Well, he recorded himself on video. You want this attention? Well, now you got it. You've got full attention, Big Rich. This dude, after Kevin Durant made his announcement saying I'm going to the Golden State Warriors, allegedly appeared to be, at least recorded himself, appeared to go to Kevin Durant's house with put a for sale sign in front of his house with the words coward on it. And you're not a real Thunder. We never and it's just, what are you talking about? Really attacking this dude's name? And when I did that post-game video saying that OKC fans, you're absolutely out your mind. I know not every OKC fan is like this, but for those fans that are just acting absolutely ridiculous, I called them out. I'm like, you guys are out of your minds. And for the most part, people agree. But then there's some people that's like, yeah, and I brought up, look, he's donated. He's done lots of charity work. He's done big things. He's given Oklahoma City some great years. And people are just like, well, that's great. He donated and everything like that. But this is basketball. It's okay that we can hate on him. And you're right. Boo the hell out of him. I agree with Charles Barkley. Boo the hell out of him every time he's in Oklahoma City. That is your right. Go ahead and do that within the realms of basketball. But going to the man's house, putting the words coward on a for sale sign, that's within basketball. Printing up t-shirts, you went out of your way to print up t-shirts with the words coward spelled with a K, right? Cupcakes, calling this dude calling him a cupcake, calling him a coward, calling the dude out of his name. That's within basketball. That's ridiculous, man. People say Kevin Durant's weak. OKC fans, the ones that's doing that, that's retaliating like a bunch of kids, y'all weak as hell, man. That's just straight up. And that same dude, Big Rich, that did the coward sign outside of his house at the game, the last week's game in Oklahoma City, police had to intervene because Big Rich was at courtside, basically courtside, maybe two or three rows back behind courtside, heckling Draymond and Kevin Durant, and police had to intervene. People heckle players all the time, but apparently something must have been going on that police had to intervene to get them to shut the hell up and just sit down and watch some damn basketball. This dude Kevin Durant had to hire more security than normal while walking in the streets of Oklahoma City. That's weak as hell, man. That's weak as hell. So be mad. That's okay. Be mad at Kevin Durant. He left. If you want to say that's a weak move, what he did. And for the record, look, I live in the Bay Area now. For the record, I said this in my last show, Lock 'em Up Hoops, one of the last episodes we did. I said, look, as far as being in a winning city or a city with an exciting team, sure, it's fun to be in. Sure, it's fun. I'm not a Warriors fan, but it's fun to be in an exciting sports town. But quite honestly, I don't like this whole idea of joining forces with superstars and forming super teams. I'm not a big fan of it. But that's just the way that the NBA world is working. And that takes me to the next point. So ESPN's First Take, they not too long ago, they did like an amateur contest where, you put up your best video, I believe, up to 2 minutes, something like that. And then they invited a male and a female contestant winner to come on the show out in Bristol and talk on First Take and do their thing. I didn't win. I did submit an entry, but I did not win, obviously. So my thing, what I was talking about, the entry that I submitted was, I disagree with Stephen A. Smith's take that Kevin Durant's move was the weakest, move in sports history or NBA history, whatever he said. Maybe it's weak. Maybe that's debatable. But as far as the weakest move and saying, the NBA is boring and this and that, I take you back to 2010 because Pandora's box was open when LeBron James joined the Miami Heat with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, two fellow All-Stars, two arguably the top 15 players in the NBA in the world at that time. You joined forces and formed the first ever super team. LeBron, let me point this out for y'all because a lot of people like to go back and forth. Well, the Celtics and the Lakers when Karl Malone and Gary Payton and Charles Barkley with the Houston Rockets. Let me tell you something right now. LeBron James is the first NBA player in his prime in NBA history to form a super team through free agency in his prime. The Boston Celtics, the big three, they were all past their prime. And it was done through trade. Gary Payton and Karl Malone, they were all past their prime. Come on now. Stop it. In their prime, free agency, LeBron's the first one to do it. And people say, the Cavs, they didn't do much for him, the GM. And you're right. They didn't do anything for him. They didn't surround him with quality players when he was in his first stint in Cleveland. I get that. Okay. But I'm sorry, last time I checked, there was 30 teams in the NBA. There's 30 teams in the NBA. What, Cleveland and Miami was the only two choices he had? The only other choice he had besides Cleveland was to join Miami with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. And we praise LeBron James. And look, I hated it. I hated this super team thing. But if you don't adapt with the times, you die. That's how business works. That's how life works. And if we're gonna sit here and say LeBron James, he's top 5 all time, in large part because of the 2 championships he got in Miami with 2 fellow All-Stars, then why can't Kevin Durant do the same? And we like to power rank. Kevin Durant is worse because of this and this and this. It's the same exact thing. And by the way, if I see somebody getting to do this extra, I don't even know what to call it. But if I'm an NBA player and I see LeBron James, he gets to do this, go with 2 superstars and win a couple of championships and be recognized as one of the top 5 of all time. Why the hell wouldn't I do the same? Why wouldn't I do the same? We like to, oh, it was different. It was different. Talk to your coworker. Talk to any coworker that you work with at your company and ask them, how did you get to where you are right now? I guarantee you their answer is going to be different from what you went through. But guess what? You're both working at the same company. You're both doing well, right? Or you're both in some position where you're equal at some point. It's the same thing. LeBron James joined the franchise with a player who was the number one option before he got there, who won an NBA championship before he got there, in which that number one player had to fall back as the number two spot, Dwayne Wade. Kevin Durant did the same thing in Golden State where Steph Curry was the man. And he had Steph Curry now is to fall back as the number two guy where they won a championship beforehand. It's the same exact thing. So everybody's sitting here, oh my God, Kevin Durant's weak, but you want to say, it's funny because the same people that are going to sit up here and praise LeBron, especially these LeBron fans, not all of them, but a large portion of these LeBron fans or Heat fans, or former Heat fans, now Cavs fans again, whatever it is you want to call it, the same people that are sitting here praising LeBron James and, oh, he's one of the top 5 of all time, was the same people that was burning his jerseys in 2010. So don't talk to me about, well, it's different. It's the exact same thing. Both players were there for their original teams for a long time. They did what they had to do to get a championship. It didn't work out, and they went to a team that they thought that could do the same for, and not do the same for them. They went to a team with other stars that in which they thought they could win championships, which was the main goal. I don't necessarily like it, but it all started in 2010. Pandora's box was open in 2010. So everybody's sitting here calling KD weak, but want to praise LeBron James. It's not yin and yang. It's the same thing. Come on, man. Let's get this together. I'm excited about these finals, quite honestly, that will come up. We know it's going to be Cleveland and Golden State. And this rivalry that's going with Golden State and Cleveland, I think it's great. This is the most intense rivalry that I've seen since the Lakers when they three-peated with Shaq and Kobe and all of them. But you know, it's interesting stuff. But you know, if you want to hate KD for leaving, okay, hate him. But people say, well, it's within basketball. A coward sign outside his house. You spent money on KD jerseys just to burn them, just to spend more money on cupcake T-shirts. KD's mom's like, this is ridiculous. They're calling him the B word and all this other stuff. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All that KD has done for y'all, and y'all want to act like a bunch of babies. Y'all weak as hell for that. Not all Thunder fans, I get that. But those Thunder fans that are out there trying to figure out, well, how am I going to raise my children now that Kevin Durant left? Y'all weak as hell, man. So anyway, we do this once a week. Mediocre Best Podcast with Realistic Randy. Subscribe to YouTube or iTunes if you're on the road. Send me a tweet at realistic_Randy. We'll see you next week.